Xirtus.
Okay, King Louis's Midnight Snack, Ecco Breakfast Dumbo Point, Voodoo Capitalism.
Something just doesn't seem right. You should do a little checking before you drive out there, because once you're there, they've got you.
How bad could it be? Excuse me, I think I'm lost. Is this the Wartburg Research Lab or Club Fed?
Your name, please?
This doesn't much look like it does on the brochure, does it?
All you Hirsch fellas say the same thing. I need some ID. Go to lot 92B, then get processed in personnel.
I'm just here for the tour. I probably won't stay too long.
Yeah, they all say that.
Thank you.
For fake news, what the Fox News Channel has done for fake news. Please welcome Stephen Colbert and Jon Stewart.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here tonight.
Good evening, godless sodomites.
These people are like the Walking Dead.
I solemnly swear to morally commit my abilities to the common defense of America against all enemies, foreign or domestic. This is supposed to be the world's most advanced lab. How come you don't have thermographic printing?
They don't spend it here in personnel.
What are you doing?
I'm bringing the truth, John. We're in Hollywood, the belly of the beast.
You can't just read the prompter?
I'm reading the prompter in here. You can read that pablum.
Award show banter is not pablum. Reality television celebrates the human condition. By illuminating what's extraordinary in the ordinary person.
It warps the minds of our children and weakens the resolve of our allies.
The results are often dramatic and always unexpected. We're here to honor achievement in that category.
By giving you a golden idol to worship. Kneel before your God, Babylon!
Out of the black hole
I'm shortcutting with 2 new programs.
in one night.
It's nothing substantial. I'm just humoring them. It's pure research.
You know who runs your little lab. It's the same crooks who sell the bombs to the Pentagon. That's who you're working for.
I'm working for myself.
Well, at least now you're being honest. Before, you were working for mankind. And they'll be the last to benefit from this.
Come on, Jay. You know Star Wars is just a fantasy. But I can't do my medical research anywhere else. You know that. I can't stop now.
Let me see if I've got this straight. You help them blow up the world, and in return, they'll let you invent some new Band-Aids. That's a fair trade-off.
You have such a simplistic view of the world, you know that? You don't know how things work.
At least I know what side of the fence I'm on.
Where'd you put my car keys?
We had this place to ourselves the whole weekend. Why do you want to leave?
Well, the first time I crossed the border is when I gave up the Catholic Church and became an atheist. I was about 14 at the time, and it was cataclysmic. I found I couldn't stand it out there in the vast abyss of uncertainty, so I crossed another border and became a Trotskyist. And then I had a new church, a new hierarchy, a new infallible authority, the Central Committee instead of the Pope, but it was the same thing, and it was comfortable for about a year. And then I decided being a Trotskyist wasn't all that much fun, and really the Pope was funnier than Trotsky, and I might as well have stayed a Catholic. So I crossed another border and became an agnostic. I've been crossing borders ever since.
The weather is very, very important to us. It actually affects every single aspect of our lives. Before I came to Iceland, I checked the weather. I'm super happy that I did. My umbrella was handy last night. I'm sure it was for many of you. It's essential for farming, when to plant the crops, when to take and when to harvest the crops. So I'm delighted today, for the first time, to be able to have the Weather Channel.
And we just learned, Sophia, I hope you're listening to me, that you have been now awarded what is going to be the first Saudi citizenship for a robot.
Oh, I would thank very much the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I am very honored and proud for this unique distinction. This is historical to be the first robot in the world to be recognized with a citizenship.
Here we are at Machu Picchu. If you don't believe us, check out Machu Picchu. Observes the Australian takes a photo using his natural civilized talents. That's pretty cool. Machu Picchu. Here we are at Machu Picchu.
Well, a few months ago, I visited China, and I was able to walk along the Great Wall of China. And they told me that this fabulously long wall was the Star Wars of ancient China. It was designed to keep the Mongol hordes out of China, and yet all the emperors essentially bankrupted the treasury, causing revolutions inside early China because it drained the treasury for several dynasties. Well, today we can see that vision of a Great Wall of China in outer space will indeed bankrupt the treasury, and it will not keep out the Mongols in case of a war. So many of us physicists that have worked against the Star Wars program believes that, first of all, you can penetrate that Star Wars shield, and second of all, it gives the illusion that you can have first strike capability. That is, it gives the illusion that you can strike first from behind a bulletproof vest. Now, I got accepted to Harvard University on the basis of my science research. But look, my father's a gardener. I did not have the money to go to Harvard. I needed a scholarship. And here came the Xirtus Engineering Scholarship, saying that, yes, we can give you a 4-year scholarship to Harvard. After graduating from Harvard in 4 years, I interviewed with Edward Teller, and he made a big pitch for me to go to Livermore National Laboratory, where, of course, they make the atomic and the hydrogen bombs. But again, I didn't associate the fact that there was a hidden agenda involved with the Xirtus Engineering Scholarship. That scholarship, the Xirtus Engineering Scholarship, is called the Star Wars Scholarship. That many of these young, impressionable minds that were recruited from high schools, these oddballs who built atom smashers in their garage, right? There were a lot of us. And they were awarded the Xirtus Engineering Scholarship, fell under the charisma of Edward Teller, and because we had no memory of the Cold War, no memory of the Teller-Oppenheimer case, no professional memory of the fact that Teller was essentially isolated from the mainstream of physics, we followed the man, and many of us went right into the Livermore National Laboratory, where the Xirtus scholars perfected the Star Wars system.
The whole educational system is based on creating borders. The arts department is in perpetual warfare against the science department. And the physicists are at war with the chemists as to who's going to get more funding. And they're continually creating artificial separations in the universe so that their specialty can get more money. Right now, the physicists are winning because they serve mammalian imperatives better than, say, the art department does. Most of the physicists in the United States today are engaged in research on one central project, which is how to deliver more and more explosive power over longer and longer distances in shorter and shorter times to kill more and more people. And this is what the United States government and the United States people apparently thinks is the most worthwhile project in the world. So the physicists get most of the money. And so they're very intent on keeping up the demarcation between physics and the lesser sciences, which don't kill as many people so fast, or the arts department, which doesn't kill anybody, hardly. And eventually they'll have enough money that they can deliver infinite explosive power over infinite distances to kill infinite numbers of human beings. And then we will have achieved the goal of the last 50 years or so of American political thinking.
Once again, a warning about some tough language and descriptions in a report that we'll have for you in just a moment. Let me introduce you first, though, to Zena LaVey. Her father, Anton LaVey, is, I guess, the founding father of Satanism in this country. He founding it, about 25 years ago, Zena?
Yeah, approximately 25 years.
Can you tell us with any certainty how widespread the religion of Satanism is in this country or around the world?
Well, the religion is worldwide. We have members just throughout the world, and it's a legitimate religion. It's perfectly within the. It's legal.
But how many people? Hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands?
Hundreds of thousands. I can't say. Thousands, easily.
What is it?
As I became older, I realized more and more that borders are fictions. The universe appears to be a seamless unity. There doesn't seem to be any borders, any real demarcations in the universe. We put borders in because we're mammals and we like to mark territories. But the universe itself functions holistically. You can make a territorial mark on a map and say this belongs to us and this belongs to the bad people over there. The people on the other side of the border are always considered the bad people. That's part of primate psychology. But that doesn't change the fact that it's still one planet, and if we're polluting our air here, it's going over the border to pollute those people too. And if they're polluting the rivers over there, the rivers are flowing across the border to us and we're getting polluted drinking water.
Well, at the present time, most Americans don't realize that we have sent so much junk into outer space that accidental collisions with that junk may be a definite problem. After all, our computers calculate the trajectories of much of this junk. We catalog, for example, thousands of wrenches and bolts and nuts that are orbiting in outer space. However, at a certain point, we're bound to come in contact with the point that we're going to lose our ability to control locating all this junk in outer space. Now, you realize that our early warning system has perhaps several thousand accidental warnings every year. Every day, there are several accidental warnings. Most of them are thunderstorms, that is, spurious atmospheric disturbances. Now, with 1,000 laser hydrogen bombs in outer space, our peace shield, so-called peace shield, orbiting the Earth, a random collision with a glove or a wrench, too small to be seen by radar, can definitely trigger all sorts of chaos. The President of the United States has 5 minutes to decide if, when our Star Wars shield begins to vaporize under collisions with junk, whether or not that was a deliberate preemptive strike by the Soviets, or whether it was a junk that happened to impact on the X-ray laser.
The modern education, G.K. Chesterton said, consists of studying more and more about less and less until we know nearly everything about absolutely nothing. And somebody who knows physics and doesn't understand politics is a barbarian. That's the kind of person who'll go to work for the government and build bombs without thinking about the moral implication of what they're doing. And somebody who only knows the history of art from the Impressionists to abstract expressionism or pop art or something like that and doesn't understand the second law of thermodynamics, they're barbarians too. They have no concept of the reality that's going on around them and outside them and of which they are part.
At that point, I realized that my heart was not into bomb making, that the future of physics lie with the unified field theory. Today, we think that superstring theory is that theory of the universe. Well, we physicists believe that in the beginning, God created a 10-dimensional universe, which was unstable, like a soap bubble that vibrated. The soap bubble cracked in half into a 6-dimensional universe, which began to collapse, and a 4-dimensional universe, which began to expand into the Big Bang. Therefore, our Big Bang is nothing but a rather minor aftershock of a much more cataclysmic explosion, and that is the cracking of space and time itself into two pieces. One, a six-dimensional universe which collapsed, and the other, a four-dimensional universe which began to inflate. So the superstring theory answers the question that Einstein could not answer. Where did the Big Bang come from? We now think that it was an aftershock of the breaking of a 10-dimensional universe. Some people say, well, what can the superstring theory do for me? What it might do is save all of intelligent life in the universe. You see, our universe is a middle-aged universe, and we think that perhaps it'll stop expanding and eventually begin to recollapse into a big crunch. At that big crunch, all intelligent life will die in a cosmic fire, which will then reignite into another Big Bang. This means that all civilizations, all the tears and the blood and the sweat of all civilizations that have risen from the mud will eventually die.
Here's another hole right here. Nicely shaped.
Because if you do challenge somebody's reality tunnel and you're successful and the reality tunnel starts collapsing, they don't enter your reality tunnel. They enter total chaos and they have anxiety attacks. And they're likely to feel that you're a Satanist who is messing with their mind, or you're an unscrupulous intelligence agent trying to brainwash them, or they'll have some sort of paranoid fantasy like that, and they're likely to attack you physically. Everybody who knows anything about psychotherapy or the Gurdjieff work realizes that. You've got to be very delicate with people's reality tunnels. If they come to you for therapy, you've got to change their reality tunnels very, very gradually without shocking them too much all at once.
However, as our four-dimensional universe begins to collapse, perhaps the six-dimensional universe begins to inflate once again. And as the six-dimensional universe begins to inflate, we have now an escape hatch, which may allow us to then escape into higher dimension so that we will not die when the universe dies. It may be literally the only way to escape the death of the universe, and that is to jump outside the universe temporarily in order to make it into the next bang.
As long as there are rule makers, there are people who just for the hell of it will be looking for ways to break the rules. You can see that very clearly in computers. There's this vast underground culture of crackers, as they're called, who just for kicks, and very few of them are making any profit out of it, just for kicks, they find ways to break into allegedly secure systems. Captain Crunch, he found how to break into the phone lines of the White House, the CIA, and the FBI, all of which were allegedly surrounded by so many safeguards that nobody could get in. Well, Crunch got in just to prove it could be done.
Well, I can teach the computer to listen for dial tone or a data tone or somebody picking up the phone. What have you learned from that for scanning? Well, scanning finds, this was how remob was found. The remote observation was found by scanning. There's a silver box number that the phone company installs to tap people's lines. So what they do, they set up a special private number that you call it up into, and this number will tap a line. And that's what I use the computer for, to find that number, to verify that the phone company does indeed have these numbers. People are not aware of the fact that these things exist. And it's kind of a bummer to have your privacy invaded all the time by these people who can come in and just sit and monitor your own private calls just because they either think you're ripping them off or they think you're involved in some illegal activity. And they'll monitor anybody. They'll monitor their own employees. They'll monitor people who don't even work for the phone company, that work regular jobs, just because they think these people are, who knows?
Have a look at what's happening for the first time in history, actually, in the high seas.
Thank you so much, Gillian. And we've got wonderful new technology here at the Weather Channel, and we are able to deliver a point forecast for the Arctic high seas.
It was Halloween yesterday. I'm scared of ghosts, and we can all be scared of things. I know there's Ebola and so on. Most of us don't think actually, we're scared irrationally maybe of spiders or snakes. I would argue that in this time that maybe we should be more scared of the ocean. I think that's a really scary problem that we should all address. Citizens of our global commons coming together in one united community around our shared love and need of the ocean might also be that. And I am part of the Terramar project. I invite you all to get your passport so that you become not only citizens of where you're from, but you also become joint citizens of land and sea, because we all have a stake and an interest in this, and we need to connect to it in a new way. Thank you.
Of reality. I seem to be the lone dissenting voice crying in the wilderness, saying the new paradigm will be as much a case of self-hypnosis as the old paradigm, and let's not kid ourselves. I think what we need is not a new paradigm, but no paradigm at all. Instead of a new model of reality, we should recognize the relativity of all models of reality and understand that no model is reality. The map is never the territory. The menu is not the meal. You can't eat the menu. You can't live on a map of New York. Our mental concepts are not the universe, and trying to form a new paradigm may be necessary at this point in history scientifically, but the new paradigm will contain as many holes as the old paradigm. I think true scientific and philosophical sophistication is identical with mysticism in recognizing that no model will ever do, and that we should use a variety of models at different times depending on where we are in space-time and who we're dealing with and what problems we're trying to solve. There is no one model that will solve all of our problems. Or if there is, I haven't found it yet.